Biglio,
Here.
Diversa,
Here.
Russell,
Here.
and President Wills.
Here. At this time, we will entertain comments from the floor. Anybody here that would like to address the council, please state your name and address and limit your remarks to 5 minutes. So, anybody who'd like to address?
My name is Andrew Dixon. I'm a lifelong resident of the area. I'm a JHS grad. I don't live inside the city proper, but I work here, I eat here, recreate. This is my hometown. I'm here to express full-throated support for the East Second project. I'm a biker, and I'm excited about the early success of the Washington Street project and the possibility that this offers to connect and provide an east-west avenue, or to begin to build out an east-west a portion of our bikeability. I'd be lying if I didn't hope that Foot Avenue and North Main Street won't be soon behind East Second Street with a redesign, because at least North Main Street is a particular concern of mine, and it's a pedestrian disaster by the Tim Hortons pinch point. I'd ask the city council and government to consider things you can do as well for the streets that you maintain, not just East Second Street, but there's lots of traffic calming strategies and things that just a little bit of paint can achieve on streets like Faulkner Street, Baker Street, maybe Buffalo Street. And just as an aside, on January 12th, I was at Applegate Apartments on Windsor and 2nd Street. And Glenn Shoup and Glenn, who was there with me, we counted 6 bikes in an hour on East 2nd Street. It's so people are riding bikes year round. Granted, it wasn't a blizzard that day, but anyway, thanks for all you do, and thanks for making the city a better, more bikeable place.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council?
Hi, my name's Todd Carson. I live at 109 Brown Avenue in Jamestown, and I became aware of a need for a mandate as a result of being a realtor and a citizen who had become a victim, not in Jamestown, but in a different community, industrial toxic waste in and on my property. I could see that there were no laws on the books on the state level or through the EPA and the federal level to protect residents against illegal industrial toxic waste in their homes. And I had a dream that maybe there would be a solution where we could allow a testing company, if somebody gets tested, somebody has a concern and they test the that company's puts it on the title in the county records so that it's public knowledge. I believe we have a right to know. And this would protect future homeowners and renters. I also see a possibility of a proximity disclosure and saying we're so far away from X known contamination. You know, we don't have any sites like that, but Love Canal comes to mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I might add, Todd has passed out his literature, or Crystal passed it out for Todd, the bullet points that he'd like to stress, and the, I guess, potential upside of moving this further up this state channels to look at these potential hazards.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Seeing none, we'll move on to our committee reports. Brent, want to do finance?
Sure. We have resolutions today. First is bond payment for public improvement bonds dated November 19th, 2013. The amount of $395,000 in principal and $49,925 for 6 months interest at 1.8% per annum on a $2.75 million bond. This is the first of 2 payments scheduled for this year. The second is going to be an interest-only payment due August 1st, 2024. This was passed passed, and this had to do with improving the Spring Street and the Cherry Street parking lots. Was approved. Another bond improvement, public improvement bond series, amount of $180,000 in principal. And down there, the amount that we have listed is not correct for the interest. The interest is actually $38,456. That's the total interest for the year there.
That was the updated one.
That'd be updated, correct. And that was on a bond of 1.455 million. First, two payments scheduled for this year. The second, again, is only interest-only payment due July 15th. And this was for purchasing DPW parks equipment, police and fire radios, parking ramp traffic coding, Tracy Plaza improvements, and other city hall and building improvements. And that was passed. Third resolution is accepting a grant in the amount of $1,000 from Cummings Jamestown Engine Plant to help purchase training books and materials for the 2024 Citizens Police Academy. The applications are available now for members, citizens to apply for the academy this year. It was a big success last year, and we are very appreciative of Cummings Engine for the donation. And that was accepted. Fourth resolution is to suspend the hiring freeze and hire one part-time crime analyst in the Jamestown Police Department. This position is funded by the Give X Award that we received. There's no financial impact. Very important position for the police department. And look at crime trends in our city. They're also going to be working with the City of Buffalo crime analyst too, education that way. That was approved. The next is recruit firefighters Joshua Ellman, Garrett Franson, Clark Wiltsey, and John Russo are authorized to attend the New York State Office of Fire Prevention and Control recruit fire training program to be conducted by the New York State Academy of Fire Science in Montour Falls, beginning February 12th and concluding May 23rd of this year. And these are all FEMA firefighters, if I'm not mistaken.
These are, of the 8 Safer Grant firefighters.
Safer
this
Grant.
is the first 4.
These are the first 4 of this thing.
We've successfully recruited 5 to 8 under the Safer Grant
Mhm.
program. So we're gonna continue to recruit. Civil Service did offer a new firefighter exam just about a week and a half ago. And we're hopeful that we'll have a new crop of candidates as we move forward in this. But this will be the first 4. That's all the academy could accommodate for us at this time.
That was approved. Next is to, mayor's authorized to execute an agreement with E.E. Austin and Son, 1919 Reed Street, Erie, Pennsylvania, for the purpose of renovating the truck room floor at Fire Station 5, 195 Fairmont Avenue, for a total amount not to exceed $231,000 and no cents, subject to approval of Corporation Council. Just to go out to bid, this was not the lowest bid, if I remember reading correctly, that there was another bidder that was about $30,000 lower, but didn't submit everything that was requested.
That is correct. So there were 3 bidders total. As you can see in your backup packet, there was a bid that was lower. However, we were not familiar with that bidder. And we were not able to confirm any past projects, municipal projects that they had done, especially projects of this type. So I did just some cursory researching online, and they do not have a website. They do have a Facebook page. It appears that this company was established in 2022 as an LLC. So we did not feel comfortable moving forward with an unknown contractor despite having the lowest bid. E.E. Austin has done lots of work for the city in the past. The company's been around for 118 years. They have a very extensive list that you'll find in your backup packet of projects they've done. Some of them within the city of Jamestown. It was our recommendation to go with E.E. Austin as the most comfortable choice. Patterson Stevens also did bid on this project, but they were considerably higher. And they have also
this is gonna be funded through ARPA.
That is correct. It should be approved by.
That was approved. Next resolution pays for this, increasing appropriation from the fire department capital line, 83410.0220.000, for $230,000, and decrease appropriations from the ARPA account A 0000000 for $230,000. That was approved. The last resolution, was the East Second Street project, eliminating parking there and providing a bike lane. The finance committee felt that this really isn't a finance project, that we were gonna defer to the public works committee for their approval. And that's how we left it at this point. There's no money involved. I'm not sure why we had it, but that's what was determined. And there was something else in the packet, but it wasn't on here as an informational report about our grant coordinator, Paul Pashon, attending, or she was invited to speak at the Mayor's Innovation Project in Madison, Wisconsin over the weekend, I believe.
She was in DC, I believe.
Was it DC?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So,
But
yeah.
yes, she was there and I have not tied out with her today.
Oh, it was in DC. So that's something that we still have to approve then, or there was no, it was
We
paid for?
approved that a while ago.
Yeah, it was paid for by that.
It was approved last year,
Okay, and it was paid for by that project then?
correct. No city funds.
No city funding, okay. All
I
right.
think the only reason we put it on there is just from a liability standpoint, but no cost standpoint.
All right. And then President Daltz asked Comptroller when we could get our next ARPA update. He would like to get those on a monthly basis, and the Comptroller said she could do that for us. She
The
made-
last one was December 31st, and she also mentioned that she'd like to change the format,
Well, that's the thing. So,
which is fine.
in her defense, and in that defense, Carol is leaving. Carol will be leaving this week, so Erica has spent the majority of her first month training. Sorry to speak on your behalf, Erica, but training with Carol about ARPA. Joe will still be on as an adversary role, as a true contract employee instead of here so much. So Erica has spent a lot of time just learning the process and the filing of ARPA, so therefore, there isn't a whole lot of change from December at this point in the reporting side of it. The goal for Erica and staff, as I've talked to them all about, is to have a really good Finit guideline by March for sure, if not sooner, and know where we're at. We have some, and I'll talk to it in my comments, or I can continue here. Obviously, we all know we have some big major expenses coming. The roof being one that we've all tossed around for a while. So, to be fair, with the transition and with Erica learning and things going on in Carol's departure, she is working very hard on it, but it may take a little longer than expected at this moment.
We were just I was just asking, I was interested to know, just to make sure we know what we have left, what's been allocated, what's been spent.
The basics we can give you. The problem is finding the invoices that go to it to give you
Okay.
the exact allocation and all that stuff that is behind. So that is where we're at.
As I mentioned, same thing, I step on your.
Nope,
your
but that's
report,
where we're
but
at.
The idea that we are gonna have some decisions to make for bonding and spending, and so if there's any other, that things need to be shifted around, what's been spent, what is still left, and what could be reallocated if necessary, so. When you get it,
That is our plan.
all right.
Mayor, there still is funding for that position. Will you be looking to fill Carol's position?
Not right off the bat. I am not saying, that was a question I asked today, is when does that funding end? And no one could give me a straight answer yet, so we need to find that out, if it ends at the end of the year or the end of 2025. So, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
So, no commitment one way or another. All things are open and on the table at this point.
Very good. That's all we have from finance.
Thank you. Any questions? If not, we'll go back to Billy. Want to do housing real quick there, Bill?
Thank you, Mr. President. We did not have any on the agenda, but we did have some company. Some folks rolled in to speak to us, and some was informational, some was, for questions. We had a constituent in my ward, I believe, yes, talk about the different websites that tenants and renters and folks in the rental business can reference through HUD and find out what is common in particular geographical areas for adequate rents, fair market, that kind of thing, to prevent price gouging with the limited supply of housing that there is in the city. One of them was, it's a HUDuser.gov, I believe. The other is a living wage calculator. It's a website that folks could go to. She had a lot of information. She didn't have anything specific for us, the city, to do. Crystal sat in, Director of Development sat in, and briefed her on the things that we as a city and a department can do on a limited basis for some of the concerns that she may have had. Crystal, anything else that we want to add to that?
I think you covered it pretty well. I don't know even if she really had specific questions, but it was good information that she brought up. It's something that we have had a conversation about today, fair market value rents and where do landlords go, how do they set their rents was kind of a question that she had. And it's important to know, I guess, that anytime a landlord is receiving a Section 8 voucher, or there's any sort of HUD funding that goes into their property, that they receive a grant, they do have to, in order to qualify to receive those, keep their rents within a HUD established fair market value. So, it was good that she brought that up. It's, nice to see that some people paying attention to that. It's not something that we can necessarily control. If it's brought to our attention that someone is abusing that, we can certainly report that to HUD, but it's not an enforcement that we have within our role as a city. So.
Thank you. And then lastly, we had Mr. Carson, also from Ward 5, give a passionate plea for us to seriously consider this residential industrial toxic disclosure law that the realtors aren't following up on statewide, nor is the government. And as you all heard his talk this evening, I implore all of you to read the paperwork that he's proposing. It might not be something the city can enact because of real property law, but it might be something we can push up forward to Albany to help residents that, by no fault of their own, end up with a piece of property that sits on an old city or village or town dump or in the vicinity of it. One of the things that was brought up by Mr. Carson was there's no mapping of some of these places. There might be mapping of specific sites where the contamination, but nothing where the spill or the runoff or the migration of these toxic wastes through underground sources making their way into residential neighborhoods. Obviously, most famous has been Love Canal of late, West Valley's contamination. I'm not sure how many residents were impacted there, but certainly a large piece of this earth was. So that was brought to our attention at the House Committee. There was one more scheduled, but he met with Crystal privately to get an application or find out some information regarding demolition. And other than that, we had some general discussion on some of the grants that might be available through the Department of Development. So it was a short meeting.
Thank you. Move on to public safety. Jeff?
Just one question for Mayor Eklund. Are the two code officers ready to go? Are they still?
That's a Crystal question.
Crystal? Okay.
Yes, they received their certification towards the end of December, so they are full speed. We've been working on transitioning or moving some of the code cases from the two individuals that were doing all the code enforcement. So they've started to move some of those cases to the new code officers, and
Taking on some new ones that I've
Yeah.
turned in.
Okay,
Yeah.
and Crystal, and I think you mentioned this before, that, they're not gonna go walking around. It has to be a complaint by
it does right
somebody,
now.
right?
Yeah,
And then they'll go check it out.
yeah, we do have the ability to do targeted sweeps, but right now it's it's complaint based,
Okay,
just because of the sheer number of cases that we have and our limited ability to bring cases into court.
so they're gonna be busy.
They are extremely busy.
One
Yeah.
question, could you refresh mine and maybe somebody else's memory on first infraction, second infraction, whatever, and third, how does it work on the code officers, what they're doing?
Sure, it's not as simple as first infraction, second infraction. It really depends on what the complaint is, and then what they observe,
Okay.
and then the seriousness of it. So if it's something that is poses immediate danger to life, health, safety, whether it's to tenants or the public, that, maybe it's something that is, on the property that's harmful to the public in the public right away. That requires a little bit more intensive of we need to get them into court right now, versus something that's like a high grass, where we really try to get compliance before we drag somebody into court over high grass.
Right, okay.
We really prioritize, especially if it rises to the level of we just can't get compliance, where we need to bring them into court. We really attempt to get compliance first, and save those more egregious cases for court.
Thank you.
And I do have, I have a flow chart that if we have time before you leave, I'd be happy to give you. It's
Sure.
all printed out. We've got some kind of cheat sheets that make it a little easier for everybody to
Thank you,
follow the process.
thank you.
And in light of that, keep in mind that the court system has a new judge.
Right.
So there's also a learning curve down
Yeah.
there as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We'll be getting his feet wet here in the next couple of weeks, so.
We sure will.
Do you get many complaints, Crystal? Is it yet?
Do we get many complaints? We get lots of complaints, yes. I can't tell you what the average is on a daily basis,
Yeah.
but it is, our office manager is on the phone her whole shift, and if she's not, she has somebody in her office that she's handling. So whether it's a specific complaint, we're very, very busy. And I get lots of complaints personally too.
Thank you, Crystal.
Sure.
Alright, Public safety?
Thank you, Mr. President. We had 5 resolutions. All of them appeared on finance, so I'll just go through them very quickly. First resolution was for the Cummins engine plant, awarding $1,000 for the 2024 Citizens Police Academy. That did pass. There is it begins February 21st. It'll meet on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. for approximately 15 weeks. Chief did say it would be a little bit different. They're adding CPR and first aid certifications for all those that attend, and the cost of that will be covered by through the police department or the grant that's being offered. The second resolution was Jamestown City Council for the lifting the hiring freeze due to the part-time crime analyst in the Jamestown Police Department. There was a resignation, and that position is being funded by the GIVE award. The third resolution was for the recruit firefighters, Joshua Ellman, Garrett Franson, Clark Wilsey, and John Russo, to attend the New York State Office of Fire Prevention and Control. And as the chief said, that's for the 4 safer grant positions, and that passed as well. The next resolution authorizing the mayor for E.E. Austin and Son in the amount of $231,000. That also appeared on for the floor of the Fire Station 5 to be repaired. That was on the Finance Committee agenda. That passed as well. The final resolution was for the appropriations for the Fire Department Capital Fund of increase of $230,000 and a decrease in the appropriations, the ARPA account of $230,000. That was on the Finance Committee agenda, and that passed as well. We did have a conversation from Councilman Paterniti about some concerns on Baker Street at Hazeltine, about the traffic light there not working for the kids to cross at Purcell. I know it's been brought up before, and I'll let Councilman Paterniti go ahead and speak on that for a minute.
Thank you, Jeff. Actually, I received a email from Mark regarding some of the activity, including PDFs of the proposed changes that may be incurred at that intersection up there. He said that the county is kind of taking the lead on it because I believe a good portion of Baker Street is county-owned, and they'll be responsible for it as far as the reconstruction and whatnot to make it a safer intersection and thoroughfare for those young students. A bigger concern as well is not only the way it's structured, but the fact that that light isn't working. And Mark indicated it's a pretty expensive cost, so as we get towards summer when they begin the project, we'll have to look into why it's gonna cost so much, maybe get a hold of the DPW or the BPU, whoever's responsible for the lighting, and make sure we get a working light there for the students to cross safely. That's it.
And I believe they have been discussing it with the school. This has been kind of an ongoing with the schools.
That, from what I understand, yeah.
The plan may not include that, they may move that potentially, so that may become a moot point, I guess is what I'm saying.
There may not be the need for the light, it might be something
Right,
else.
right, depending on the reconstruction, right.
Some other traffic
Right.
device or whatever. So, yeah. Ongoing, thank you. That it?
Yeah, that's all we had.
Thank you.
Public Works, Randy, what do we got?
Thank you, Mr. President. We had the one resolution with the proposed bike lane eastbound on Second Street, and Andrew Dixon talked to us on that also. He spoke to his agreement that he would like to see the lane put in for the safety of the bikers. So we did have a discussion about it. There's, of course, pros and cons to both sides, and the public has talked to many of the people on council here, and including us, and so we decided to approve the resolution. And that's all we really had with us in Public Works.
Okay, any other questions? Anything else to come before us before we go to the mayor's report? Other than a eulogy on the Bills? No, I'm just kidding. I had to have an extra cup of coffee because it was a late night.
Instead of
Yeah.
Go Bills, it's Gone Bills.
Yeah.
Crystal, did you go to the game? Cause you,
Yes, that's why her voice is
I was
the
gonna
way it
say,
is.
you sound like me, and I don't even yell, but it's just you can't even talk.
I
'cause
was
it's-
really squeaky earlier.
Yeah,
Plus
she
it's cold.
sounds a
and
lot better than this morning.
the casualties of, did you jump in the pit?
No, we actually had a suite, which was crazy, but
Taylor?
we were practically jumping out of the suite.
Wow, it was a fun season.
It was not with Taylor.
All good things come to an end, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
That's the mojo.
If you just missed to the left.
Instead of right?
Yeah, I always tell you, like, those of us who've lived through that are old.
That's the new stadium name. Did you know that?
What, the pit?
Wide right.
Oh, wide right. Well, hopefully they faced it a different way so the wind, you know,
And I
it
like
gave us
Eagles,
like
but I gotta have
nightmares and
It's the only way we can
PTSD
get
over
through
what
it.
happened 32 years ago, whatever. Okay, it's your report.
So one thing I was going to talk about was to give you an update about the ARPA. We have been working really hard, and I've asked the department heads to review their project list, see if there's something that's not going to happen. In fact, you know, one of the things that you guys approved and voted on came in 30,000 more than that was originally in the ARPA plan, and that was the floor at the fire station. So things are coming in a little bit all over the place, and to do it justice, we're shooting for no later than the end of March for a real good feel and a very confident feel of where we're at. We may be able to, bless you, we may be able to give you a little bit more ahead of time, but at least the goal is March to be really pretty solid on that. A lot of things have happened in the first 3 weeks. I've done a lot of networking, both, you know, internally and externally. I met with a lot of community stakeholders, had many discussions ranging from homelessness, crime, participated in the chief's department's give update. Some incredible statistics and some incredible work comes out of that department, but I'd be lying if I didn't say we aren't facing a war in drugs, especially on the fentanyl side. So nothing concrete really has happened that you're going to see in the first month, but I'm confident and very happy to say that, you know, the entire staff, including the new hires, my direct office staff, has taken the bull by the horns, if you will, and is working very hard to try to create some cohesion, movement forward, transition easy, and had the first BPU meeting today. So, you know, we're just kind of getting our feet wet and getting in on things, but I think it's a great start. On top of that, you know, the Bills losing, and some other things. So I really don't have anything concrete. I don't have anything specific, you know, that I'm not. I have my hands in a lot of things we're trying to resolve and address. Jeff, for the public record, because the public didn't see it, I did send all of you an email for Jeff's request about the explanation of the change in the police department. I think we're good there. So if anybody else has anything, please direct it to me or the staff, and we'll take care of what we have. And I'm hoping I have some more concrete things for you next month. But hands in a lot of things, I'm not gonna lie. But so that being said, that's all I have for open session, but I do have one item for executive session, and no action to be taken, informational update only, and that involves potential litigation. So for that, I need the council, the chief, and that's it. Yeah, oh, Elliot, obviously.
Do you have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
It'll be quick.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.